Chris, it's so good to see you. So for anyone here who does not know Chris Dreyer, he's the co-founder of Revaluate. And Revaluate is a super amazing platform. It actually helps real estate agents and lenders identify who in their database is ready to move or who's likely to move rather. And one of the cool things I remember you telling me was the D's, right? The D's, the major life changes, the death, divorce, diamonds for engagement, diplomas for graduation, downsizing, and there was another one too, but maybe you could talk about
Hey,
that.
dude,
Yeah.
that's great. Awesome work. Thanks.
Yes, I remember that. So, yeah, so we're excited to talk to you today and tell us what you want to share with us.
I think all those D's are in this good book I was reading just earlier. I'm not sure, but I'll have to go back and check.
Okay.
That, that's a good one.
Nice
Uh,
plug.
yeah, man. Um,
So
thank you
excited to
for
have you, Chris.
thank you for having me. Is my screen showing up okay there, Barry?
Yeah. The 93% problem, going from overlooked to overbooked. I'm interested immediately, so I'm excited to see where you're going here.
It's catchy. Cool. Well, yeah. So I am Chris Dreyer. I'm co-founder and CEO of Revaluate, and Janelle already gave me a really nice plug. I appreciate it. But yeah, we leverage data to help you find more deals inside your CRM or inside your database. So pairs really nicely with what G was just sharing with you, obviously, and that's where we're going to go today. Is kind of dive down that trail. I'm actually going to talk to you first about a case study that we just did that's really impactful. That's where we got that 93% number that I'm going to dive into. I'm going to show you how to do some stuff by yourself on your own, some DIY tips, and then I've got a free offer at the end for you here. So first and foremost, I am really glad to be here with you guys because you guys are the best. Clearly, you're very knowledgeable, smart, good-looking crew. Because you're here right now, and that's awesome, and I'm thrilled. I have another fact for you, and that is that all of you guys have mint condition databases that are perfect. They are spotless, and you have all of your records well organized. They're clean, they're up to date, and you regularly detox all of those people in your database that are bad, and you maintain your CRM, and there's no problems and no flaws in your database whatsoever, correct? And if you want to agree with me in the chat, that's cool. You can, but I think I know the reality, and the reality is
A
it's
lot of
filthy.
laugh crying emojis.
Yeah, it's filthy, and you know what? That sucks, and also that's reality, and you're not alone. And I know you're not alone because of this case study that we did. So we're going to talk about, we're going to get a little dirty. I hope that's okay with you guys. We're going to talk about data.
With you, yes. If Gabe said that, I would say no. No, I'm just kidding. He's on here, so I can pick on him.
Good job. Excellent, Gabe. So I need to do one of these with Helixson, truth be told. But
I agree.
we did. I've got he gave me his phone number, so now I can text him and shoot him a note.
Absolutely.
So we did this case study with Tom Ferry and his team, and I'm going to kind of dive into what we did there just in the past year. In this case study that we did with his group, we looked at 12 months of data, and we had 500,000 contacts from agents that were in his coaching program from 7 states, so pretty broad. And this was from individual agents, mom and pop teams, medium-sized teams, to giant, mega, huge, enormous Jupiter teams, right? So really broad spectrum, but we got 500,000 contacts from this to go into this study to look at the data. And here's what we found. Not surprising to you guys, we found duplicate data. We found fake contacts. There are lots of emails that bounced, or there were incorrect emails that were like .kerm instead of .com, like just junk. Lots of suspicious contacts. For some reason, there's a bunch of real estate agents that are in your databases in general, right? In this study, we found lots of that. But if you got like Bart Simpson or Daffy Duck in your database, which everyone has, they're not going to buy a home. They need to be moved on out, right? Same with anything at profanity.com, right? You've got that lead has come into your system at some point and it needs to be pulled out. There's missing data. Holy cow. So of those 500,000 contacts, half of them, 250,000, were missing physical addresses. And I have news for you. These people were in real estate. They're in the real estate business and they didn't have the physical addresses of the properties that are the real estate. And I find something really terrible and troubling about that. And that needs to be addressed in these people's databases. So really revealing information coming out of this case study. The big part, the 93%, is the terrible part, which is that we found loads and loads of listings. We found, on average, that agents had missed 93% of the transactions, of the listings in their database over a 12-month period.
Jeez.
90, yeah.
Man.
So if you can imagine how many transactions you did and then figure out what that is 7% of 100 of, you have that many more transactions on average in your database that are happening as listings right now over the last 12 months. This is the 93% problem. And this is a huge problem. It's also a huge opportunity. When we took a step back, that 93% came to 5,161 listings, $75 million ballpark of commissions, and $2.5 billion in volume over a 12-month period out of only 500,000 contacts. And it's worse than that because, as I mentioned before, only half of those 500,000 contacts had physicals. So the reality is those dollar amounts are out of 250,000 contacts. There's loads of volume of transactions in your databases right now. So why? What happened to them? Where'd they go? Well, mathematically, we know we can pull out 10% of people on average move every year. So in your database, 10% of that goes bad every year. That is to say, 10% of the people have the wrong address if you had one in your database because they've moved to a new address in that year. Your direct mail is not going to work to them. Your AVM is not going to work if you don't have their correct physical address. Another 20% of people change jobs every year. It's more like 25% actually of people change jobs every year. So if you've got an email address and your email address is bob@sony.com, Bob's not at Sony anymore, right? You're not going to be able to reach Bob anymore. That's a bad email address. 25% of your emails go bad every year. It's just, you can't do anything about that. That's the nature of people moving. Things change. The other big portion that we have to think about is friggin' Barbara. Barbara beat you to the listing and she went and had coffee with those people, and Barbara across town won all those listings because she's reaching out and having coffee with the right people. So part of it's math, part of it's Barbara. I don't know what you do about Barbara, by the way. I don't have a solution. Have more coffee, I think is the right answer. So what are we going to do about it? That's where we're going to go here. So we suggest doing an audit. So this is probably going to make you fall asleep, but bear with me, it's only like 90 seconds here. I suggest that you audit all of the contacts and data in your databases. And I know that you've got stuff in your phone, you've got a spreadsheet, you've got Post-its. Old school people have a Rolodex. Young kids, I'm not going to tell you what that is. But all these different databases, you've definitely got like probably Follow Boss, maybe you've got an older CRM too. They're all different. They're all duplicate. It's all junk because it's all not all in one space. You need to run an audit. To do so, we suggest that you organize, merge, and format all of your contacts into one spot. You can get a VA to help you out with this. You can have an assistant help you out. Get them all into one file. Tally up the total number of contacts that you have. And you're trying to get to, ideally, the holy grail is sort of like a complete record check so that you've got 4 different pieces of contact information. You've got their name, their email, their phone, and their physical. That would be ideal. Maybe even have Facebook or Twitter or whatever also. That would be really cool too. But if you've got those 4, you're in a really good spot. Not many people have all 4 of those. I've looked at Barry's data. He certainly does not have all 4 of those in his database.
Yeah, you've had my data for a long time.
We also recommend that you check and see who has moved. It doesn't make sense to be marketing to people that just moved and just bought a house in the last 12 months. That's not super high priority, at least not the typical type of marketing. Maybe there's a different play to go from a referral or checking in type marketing. And then, as we were talking about before, it would be really handy if you knew how valuable your database was. And in this audit, you ought to be able to determine how many transactions happened in the last 12 months. That's what we suggest that you do. The next step would be to go ahead and edit your records. So detox it, pull those Bart Simpsons out, pull the profanity out, deduplicate it. You want to verify the addresses. So address verifications, I'll get into that in a second. You want to remove bounces and remove suspicious. So a little more detail on those. The deduplication is something that a lot of software has built in right now. I know Follow Boss has a pretty good setup for doing that. I'm confident YLopo does as well, Barry.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're running off of like a Google Sheets, there's a little tool that Google has built in that's simply remove duplicates. I've got it on the screen there. You can grab a screenshot of that if you'd like. But they have a built-in tool that'll help you consolidate. Then you want to verify physical addresses. So there's kind of two tools to do there. One is you can go to your title rep and you can get a list of all the addresses in your neighborhood, which is super valuable. You should have that on day one as a real estate agent, in my opinion. What's your farm? Get all the physicals, have that in your database because that's a known entity that you have. Number two is to take any of the contact records that you have, and again, have a VA go and run those contacts through the county records. And your county has a website. They're all different, but you can all plug in an address and see who lives at that address, and you can verify it. Time consuming, yes. Valuable, yes. I don't think it's the most efficient use of your time, but you could pay someone to do that if you're at that spot. And then bounce check. So when we were talking about Bob at Sony, that's a bounced email. So if you send a whole bunch of emails to people that have bounced, so if 25% move each year and you haven't done an audit of your database in the last 3 years, you've probably got a whole ton of contacts in your database with bad emails that are bouncing. When you send bounced emails, Google is watching. I hate to tell you this. Google is watching you.
Got 3 minutes, Chris. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
I appreciate that. Google is watching you, so you want to remove those bounced emails. Pull those out. That's the next step there. After you've gone through that process, we recommend that you listen to your records. There's a little pun here, but we're talking about talking to and interacting with your contacts. So whether they're on Facebook or in real life. Janelle already
there they are.
shared, there it is. So death, disease, divorce, diaper, diamonds, diplomas, downsizing, discretionary income, the daily grind, and dumpsters. Dumpsters is my favorite. Agents told me they would drive around the neighborhood, look for dumpsters, and it was very frequently someone that was moving. That's one of my favorites. But these are the life events that you ought to be listening to people on Facebook and seeing when these life events pop up, because they are more likely to move.
And what does dumpster stand for?
That's the literally driving around looking at dumpsters and saying, oh, there's a correlation between having a dumpster in your driveway and moving. So grandma died, or they're refurbing, or they're throwing stuff out. Yeah.
Okay.
In the suburbs, not so much the city. And then you want to automate this process. So pulling in YLopo's Y priority and targeting those folks using the AI that G was talking about, using the Revaluate score to do the heavy lifting so you can prioritize who to talk to. That's sort of your step. That's your workflow. Audit, edit, listen, and automate that data as you're going through it. So now, final part. What is in your database? You can do what we just suggested and showed you how to do on your own. But what I'd like to offer you is a free data audit. So if you use this QR code, if you type in that URL, we will do all the audit stuff that we just talked about for you for free. We'll tabulate, we'll show you the holes, we'll show you all the transactions that happened in your database over the last 12 months. We'll show you the agents that listed those transactions over the last 12 months, the dollar amount. We'll even map out all the contacts that you have. We'll show you the gaps and your opportunities and all of that for free.
That's a significant value. I mean, because there's a lot of hard costs when you started going through all the different things you're layering. That's a lot of value. So that's huge. And I know the work that you've been able to do in my database and exposing missing things. Of course, the Revaluate Move score and all that. It's been a source of revenue for two businesses actually. So we appreciate you taking the time. I think as an industry, we're always so focused on new leads. Having a service like this that goes through these different layered aspects of your database, I think it helps us to kind of water our lawn instead of looking for new and different. So I appreciate that, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome, Barry. Yeah, there's tons of opportunity inside your database. And if you'd like to reach out, I'll do just like Michael. There's my cell phone number. You can shoot me a text. If you want to grab time on my calendar, you can use the URL right there to grab time.
Unusual. That's amazing. All right, Chris, thank you so much. I know, just leave that up for just another maybe 10 seconds as Gabe and Livia, or whenever I don't know when she's supposed to turn on, but that's Chris's info and that gracious offer, revaluate.com / what was it?
Free.
That's hard to remember, actually. Free. Oh, there it is right there at the top. Revaluate.com / free for that data audit. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.